From a public health perspective, it'd be a great thing if we could have mandatory notifications and have them work, but I just don't see an easy way for them to work. Unless, I mean, there's always the option of, if it was law, if you made it mandatory. I mean, if everybody had to be screened every so often, I mean, you can go into that realm of law where everybody has to come in and be screened and everybody must be notified.
That's how TV came back, right? Because people were going to be notified. This in California, at least, when we got rid of, well, I don't know how to say it exactly, but we started checking status if you're a legal or illegal resident. Mm-hmm. And if you were illegal, you couldn't get medical care. Or they had to be reported. And then so we see this increase in TB because the people that
aren't getting the medical attention they need.
And so if it's, I mean, I think that society in population is too big to make it mandatory to expect that you would get everybody in. And so I think you're still.
And unfortunately, the people you wouldn't be getting in are probably the people you want to be.
Probably.
I think our best bet is just to make it mandatory to have the screening, but an option for you to tell all your previous mates or previously
even if it's asymptomatic for all women.
Even if it's asymptomatic, because if it's going to be mandatory to have the checkup, but it's going to be also a law for us to tell everybody else. A lot of people are going to dodge it. They're not going to go to take the test. But if it's not if it's mandatory to have the test, but you don't have to report everybody you've been with, most likely more people are going to go and have the test. And even if 50% of those people will tell everybody that they've been with, it's still better than none.
Yeah, but if what you're getting screened for is something that's deadly,
then there's a greater interest.
I'm just sitting here and I'm trying to think of how I would feel if I had a partner who, after they were with, in an interim where I was exposed, I could have been exposed to AIDS. And they found they got it and I never found out. And then I exposed other people. Right? So now I want to know, and I would want the people I've exposed to know. But I will never, it will take me longer to find out if I don't think of it, if I have no idea that I've been exposed, it might take me longer to find out, then longer to notify those people, and I may get to the point where I'm too sick or they're too sick to help them with that information.
But if that partner of yours knows that they're going to inform you for sure, would he have even taken the test from the beginning? Probably not. Because if he doesn't want to tell you when it's an option, what makes him going to tell you when it's mandatory?
No, I agree with that.
So, if you're going to...
Well, I mean, that's an argument for making it mandatory.
Right.
Make what mandatory?
These screenings as mandatory as possible. I mean...
Yeah, but then you're going to dodge it.
There's always going to be a way to dodge it. It's the same thing with immigration. People are going to... Of course, people are going to dodge it, but that's not a reason for not making it.
I just think the advantage of having it mandatory to take the screening, but an option to tell your previous partner is going to result in a more positive...
Definitely, but the problem is at what cost? I mean, when you start talking about deadly diseases, there's a much more compelling government, there's a heavier interest in the government side to make sure this information is
spread. In that
spread.
case, maybe you could put it in different categories. If it's a deadly disease, then it's mandatory. If it's not, then
but once
it's
you start categorizing people that come in and don't know what the screening is going to show, they're going to fall in that same category of, I'd rather not go in.
Say that they make mandatory screening for STDs.
Okay.
And that is in your record. Right? So now the people that are hiring you know what sexually transmitted diseases you have, and then they could discriminate based on the diseases that you come back with. Right? So I'm actually switching on my side of the
that could just as easily been...
When you say mandatory...
It can be kept out of your record as well. I mean, there's plenty of mandatory things that can be kept confidential.
Could be, but most likely if you're working for a huge corporation or if you're going to go work for a new corporation, they'll be able to find out.
There's laws against them using your history as a discriminatory tool unless...
Certainly with HIV.
Yeah, exactly. There's laws against them, and there's ways of keeping that confidential, and they don't know whether or not, and they shouldn't know, obviously, because they shouldn't... there's issues when it comes into certain types of jobs. Maybe there's greater risk of having somebody who's HIV positive if they're working with needles all the time and drawing people's blood. It could be an issue, but as long as all the safety precautions are there, it shouldn't be,
Many sexually transmitted diseases are asymptomatic for women, but symptomatic for men. Mm. So if women wouldn't be notified, they would not feel urinary tract infections or the kinds of things that notified men to go and have checked. Mm-hmm. Or there's some, like chlamydia, that are asymptomatic for both genders, and that the only way that you could stop the spread of it would be to give the information, because being asymptomatic, they're not likely to check until something happens where a woman gets pregnant and part of the prenatal screening it comes up.